Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webcast on how to move your geospatial data with Contera, the trusted integration partner to SAP HANA. My name is Karina Kern, and I'm responsible for product and solution marketing at SAP. With me today is Marcel Sprotte, consultant for spatial ETL team project services at Contera, and Markus Dorfmeier, senior product manager, SAP HANA Spatial and SAP HANA Graph at SAP. During today's webcast, you will hear about arising new geospatial technologies and the interaction between SME and SAP HANA, the centerpiece of the consolidation of geospatial and business data. Further, Contera, the trusted integration partner, will introduce you to the FME solution and show you how to read, manipulate, and enrich data to write it into SAP HANA. If you have questions or comments during the presentation, you can enter them in the Q&A widget, which is located at the bottom of your console, and we will answer them at the end of the webcast. With that, I would like to hand it over to you, Markus, to kick off the webcast.
Yeah, thank you very much, Karina, and welcome also from our side to this webcast. Very exciting to have you all here to tell you all the good things about our corporation, what's ahead of us in terms of moving your geospatial data to SAP HANA. So who's going to talk to you today? It's me, Markus Dorfmeier. I'm the product manager for SAP HANA Spatial and HANA Graph, as Karina already mentioned. And with me, I have Marcel, consultant from Contera. But yeah, Marcel, if you want to introduce yourself to the audience as well, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, thank you, Markus. My name is Marcel Sprotte. I'm a consultant at Contera. I'm in the geo business for more than 10 years now, and my main focus ever since is the spatial ETL world, where I'm working on in Contera as well.
Great, yeah. And so we were thinking about what's the best way of leading you guys through this journey together. And we thought we start off with setting SAP HANA Spatial into context, and what that might be for all of us in general, but also for you, your companies, and so forth, and then connecting that to the technology and the experience we have and the partnership we bring to the table. So putting this into context, asking the question first, so what's so special about spatial? I think for the ones amongst us who are in the spatial or geoprocessing and mapping business, we all know what this is about. And this picture, from my perspective, tells it very good. So the planet we are on, the planet we are living on, and working on is what we have to protect and also can make use of in the best and most sustainable way. So that's I think one of the centerpieces of where we wanted to start off with. And when we're talking about SAP, why should SAP invest in spatial? Right, so that's one of the questions which I am regularly asked before I kick off these kind of presentations, and afterwards it's becoming very clear. It's not even afterwards, but I mean the answer is simple. Why does SAP invest into spatial? Is that because our customers tell us. Our customers tell us that they are in the need of mapping, of introducing map views in their business applications, introducing business data into the spatial context as well, mapping it and taking that further. And why is that? So that's also very simple. So all of us, we know that there's so many new, and every day there's new geospatial technologies arising. Let's only think about the Internet of Things, the sensor techniques, the streaming analytics as well. So GIS in the market for a long time. Also database technologies, and that's what we are going to learn more about in terms of SAP HANA and HANA Spatial today, and much more. Right. So and back to the customers and the question of why. what they tell us is that they are living in two worlds. They are living in the GIS world and the IT world. So IT meaning that's more the business IT world, where cost management and resource management is always a topic. Just like various systems and management of those on the left-hand side, right? And on the other side, on the GIS world, the GIS teams are getting questions asked. How do I manage various data types, and how do I combine those? How do I manage streaming data out of my IoT devices, or how do I access business data and relate them to geography? Right, so I think this is one of the most important things to start off with, that all of our customers who are running GIS departments and technologies, and at the same time the IT business side of things of the house, they are still kind of disconnected, and they see a challenge of two worlds working separately and apart of each other from each other, and but with one focus of putting the two worlds together, joining them and putting them into their analytics and business applications, which is represented on the bottom of this page. So if we know that this is a challenge to our customers, we have an answer to this. So if we move to the next slide here, what has changed is that there's a database symbol and a steering wheel, a spinning wheel in the middle. Let's say this is SAP HANA. So our SAP's in-memory database, which is a multi-model database, and one of the things which we can do is analyzing and processing geometries, and in order to unify the two worlds of the IT business and the GIS business. And then streaming, so answering all the questions which we had before, and then feeding this information into the business applications. And there's one particular point here, and that's related to our webcast today. That's below the business data, GIS database, and LiDAR, satellite, CAD data, and sensor data. And that's one particular piece which we called for now spatial ETL. And this is where our good friends and partners from Conterra come into play. And so Marcel is going to tell you more about this and putting that into even more context. So Marcel, if you want to take over, and you just let me know if you want me to click or if you want to do it, and yeah, take it from there.
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. I'll take over from here. So yeah, let me start with a very brief introduction of Conterra, the company I'm working for. So basically what you can see on this slide is that we have partnerships with the worldwide leaders in spatial ETL, which is safe software, with the worldwide leaders in GIS, which is Esri, and in databases, which is SAP. We are in general globally active, but our main focus is the European market. There you see some sectors we are working on. We are basically working for the private and the public sector, and we are trying to geo-enable your business systems by providing enterprise solutions. And a very important part of that is what's called spatial ETL. And talking about spatial ETL, I would like to quickly explain what that means. The ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. And that basically means to read data from various sources, to manipulate your data into any form of data you want to have it, meaning recalculate it, model it, map it, whatever you like. And then load means write it to another data format. In our case now, probably the SAP HANA Spatial. So in Conterra, we are using FME, the Exchange Platform for Information, to do this. And it's basically It's basically a software that is capable of reading more than 400 formats, different data formats, and manipulate it and then rewrite it into, again, more than 400 formats. I will come back to that in a few minutes and explain in more detail what FME is doing and how FME is working. Contera is a reseller of FME technology, so let me give you a very short introduction to the developer of FME, which is Safe Software. Safe Software is based in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, pretty close to Vancouver, and is basically became the worldwide leader in spatial ETL after being founded in 1993. Since we are partners with Safe Software, I wanted to show you a quick how our partnership looks like. We are Platinum partner of Safe Software. We are in a very close cooperation with Safe since 1998, and we became top partner of the year from 2007 to 2017, which we are very proud of. Okay, so that was just the formal stuff about the companies. So let's go into more detail. Let's go into data. When you're talking about spatial ETL, you're talking about different data types. You have data from GIS systems. You have data from your database. That's basically what Marcus already mentioned when he presented the why we are doing this. You have XML data, three-dimensional data, etc. And to combine all those kind of data, FME provides you with a solution to do so. Because with every data type, you have various formats. Everybody who is working into one of those areas knows that there's not only one database or not only one cut format, but there's more, and FME provides you with the technology to basically combine all those data formats. As I already mentioned, it's more than 400. Very few of them you can see in this slide that are basically showing you all the possibilities. So how is FME doing that? You can basically summarize FME with 3 words, which is connect, transform, and automate. So connect stands for connecting data formats or data itself, because once you read it in, it doesn't matter in which format it was originally. So you connect to any kind of data, you transform it into whatever you have to do with your data or what you want to do with your data. And you connect again to another data source or another data target at this point, and you write it into SAP HANA, for example. And if you go for the server technology or the cloud technology, you can also very, very easily automate all your processes, so you don't even need to start it manually. So I already mentioned server and cloud, so here's basically the 3 products that the FME technology is involving, which is FME Desktop, FME Server, and FME Cloud. I will focus on FME Desktop today to show you how you can basically connect to SAP HANA the easiest way. So the core functionalities of FME, it's basically converting data from one format to hundreds of other formats. As I already mentioned, with FME, we are capable of reading more than 400 formats and write into 400 different formats. We can also transform our data. We can manipulate it. We can split it up. We can combine it with other data. We can, whatever you like, you can do within one process if you like. If you're using FME server technology, it's fairly easy to share your data within your enterprise, or to basically give other users the chance of providing data that is then integrated into your database. So for today, the easiest way to show you how FME works is basically to focus on 2 components of the FME desktop installation, which is FME Workbench and the FME Data Inspector. The FME Workbench is basically an intuitive point-and-click graphic interface. It's really like this. You don't need to program or to code any stuff at this point. You can use predefined so-called transformers to basically restructure your data, to map your data, to recalculate your data. You can analyze all of your data, and you can make quality assurance, data plausibility, whatever you like. You can see it on the right side in the very small picture. It's just a very it's a very easy picture of how FME works. I will show you now how FME Workbench really looks like. So this is basically a workspace done with FME Workbench, and it's basically split up in 3 parts. So on the very left side, you see like 2 starting points. These are our data sources. It's basically our input. And in the middle, you can see transformers. Transformers are basically functionality that you can visually implement into your data flow. I will go into that a little in a few minutes, a little bit deeper. So basically, after you have read your data into your workspace, you manipulate your data, or you model your data. And once you're done, you basically choose where to write. So you connect to your database or to an Excel sheet, whatever you like, and you create your output. So that is basically the 3 parts of FME Workbench. So the second component I wanted to talk about is the FME Data Inspector. So within FME Desktop installation, you're provided with a visualizing tool that supports 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional graphics that contains a so-called table view where you can filter and search for certain words or values. And you can get a brief overview of what you do with your data. So this is not a GIS. This is basically an application where you can check whether your transformation is doing well. I will show you that one as well in a very few minutes. So why am I telling you this? This is a diagram that should show you how you can use it with SAP HANA. You basically have various data sources, like, for example, an Esri Arc SDE or ArcGIS Online Feature Service, or an SAP HANA database already. Doesn't matter. You read your data in, you combine it, you do your data transformation. And then afterwards, you write it out to your SAP HANA spatial database. So, yeah, that is basically the very, very brief way to manipulate your data. I will show you in a quick example in a few minutes how it's really done, and I think then it will it will be great for your understanding at this point. But Marcus, maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about the SAP HANA Spatial Target at this point.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marcel. Very good overview so far. And I like this slide very, very much because it's so simple, and it is really so simple. So given that we have the different data sources, which we then use FME for spatial ETL tool, and all the transformation options we have, and loading that into SAP HANA, and this is so it would be on the, let's consider the right-hand side SAP HANA, and the engine sitting on top of it is HANA Spatial. So, and as we mentioned at the beginning, HANA Spatial is the engine being able and capable of processing geometries on SAP HANA in real time. And the reason why we wanted to point this out and why there's Esri on there, what's important to note is that SAP HANA is certified as Enterprise Geodatabase by Esri. So when you're running Esri, you can use HANA as a full use database underneath, and do the geoprocessing for the big data in memory on that. So that's happening and working out of the box from inside the S3 applications. So I think that's one of the things we wanted to mention here, Marcel, right? So the simple view we see here, and what we tried to explain to you earlier on the slides, Marcel is going to introduce you by an example during the next couple of minutes.
Yes, thank you, Marcus. Yeah, now it's time to show you actually FME Desktop or FME Workbench. I think that's the easiest way to show the power of FME. So the topics of my example will be, I will show you how to read data into FME. I will join data. I will check the data quality, and I will then write it into SAP HANA. So I will try to share my screen now. So let's keep my fingers crossed. So it is basically a pre-prepared workspace, but I want to show you basically all the necessary steps. So what we have here is county data from Germany. Let me show you the data. That's always the easiest. So these polygons all over Germany are the county borders of all the counties in Germany. So that is basically one source of the data. All we have in there is the name of the county, nothing else. And on the other side, we have a CSV file. The CSV file, I will show you as well, looks like this. We have name of the cities, or name of cities. We have a population figure, the state they are in, and very important, and there comes the spatial part, we have coordinates, but it's still a CSV file, so it's just plain text at this point. When I checked the data the first time, I already saw that we have population numbers of 0, which of course is not true. So I consider this to be a data issue, and I will show you an automated way to point to these data issues. So going back to FME Workbench, I already have my CSV data, and because I have X and Y values, I can create points out of those values, right? So I will add a so-called transformer to the workspace. A transformer is basically functionality that I can use and move and change some preferences to do what I like to do. So there are more than 500 of those transformers, or about 500 of those transformers. So one of the trickiest part is to know which transformer is doing what. So for now, let's assume we all know what we are doing. So let's use the vertex creator transformer. I will just use it by choosing it right here with a double click, and there we go. So we have this transformer right here, and all I need to do at this point is connect the output port from my data source CSV file to the transformer. And the moment they are connected, the data runs right through this transformer. It is as easy as it looks like. So within that vertex creator, I can do several stuff. So for sure, the vertex creator needs to know where's the X value, where's the Y value. So I basically choose those attribute fields, and the mode is it should be replaced with a point. So from now on, we are operating with points, not plain text data anymore. The second part that I want to show you is how to make sure that I'm not using those population numbers. But on the other hand, after I'm processing my data, how I'm being able to check where was this 0 population data. I'll do this with a so-called tester to create a condition that is basically just as for exactly the scenario. So I have my tester here, and again, I'm clicking the output port and just connecting to the tester input port, and the data now runs right into the tester. What's left within the tester is that I need to define the condition. So what I want to make sure is that in my database, only population figures that are not 0 will be written. So now you see we have 2 output ports. So what will happen now, every feature will be tested whether there's a population value of 0. And if it's a 0, it will be running out through the failed port because it's not matching my condition. So all the failed port, I will directly connect to a CSV file I prepared, which is called bad data. So after I run my process, I have all the bad data in another CSV file, and I can check easily what I have to do to prevent that from happening again. So with the points that are matching my condition, I want to have a spatial match with my county layer. I'll do this with a so-called spatial filter. And I connect now the tester as a candidate and the counties itself as a filter. So what is happening right now? Let's look into the spatial filter. This is the most important part, spatial predicates to test. So filter intersects candidate, and this part merge attributes. So what is happening here? We have all the points running against the polygons, and every time there's a polygon below a point, let's say, the information from the polygon, so the county name, will be transferred onto the point. So every point will know afterwards in which county they are in. And that is basically what's happening here. After I have done so, I can connect to the statistics calculator. This is now prepared. Please, that's basically because of timing reasons. What I'm doing here is I basically take the attribute of population, I sum it up in terms of county name. So instead of having the population by city, after this transformer, I have the population per county. So I'm gaining an extra value out of my data. It's not only mapping, but I'm gaining more value out of the data than I had before. And in the last step, I just bring back the point information. It's basically the same as we did in the spatial filter, but now it's without spatial, so it's just on key attributes. So when on the point and on the polygons, the county name is the same, the information again is interchanged between those. And as I have the polygons as requesters, afterwards, out of the merged port, I will get all the polygons with all the information I need on the way to the bulk attribute renamer, which is basically just changing all the attribute naming into uppercase. So that is basically my my manipulating part. Again, I'm creating points out of X and Y coordinates. I filter out all my bad data on a fairly easy test condition. I'm then joining spatially the points, the city points and the county polygons, and then I sum up the population information to gain a new attribute or new information of the county population. And in the very last step, I basically bring back this information to the polygon. So what's missing right here is basically the key part of what we are talking about in this webcast. It's basically writing it into SAP HANA. So let me show you how to add a writer into FME. That's also very easy. You have your menu writers here, and you have the point Add Writer. You do this, and you get this very easy mask, and you just need to populate all the fields. So the format we want is SAP HANA Spatial. So we choose that. I already prepared a connection to my SAP HANA database that I have in-house. So that is basically something you would need to do beforehand, but I'll already have it. Within that connection file, you basically have all your credentials. So you just choose your connection file. And as I want to show you how to import existing tables, we will choose none, even though it is advanced, for the table definition. So what happens right now is, once I say OK, you will basically not be able to see too much at this point. Just here in the navigator window, you see the SAP HANA Spatial Writer. So what we need to do, because we want to write into an existing table, we want to import in FME language, it's a feature type. So I select the SAP HANA, I check out the parameters, and there you go, you have a parameter called table list. After that, I'll go into the schema I need, and there is a table called counties. So I'll choose that, and I'll bring it to the end of my process. And now it's the same as when you try to connect with transformers. You basically just connect the transformer output to the feature type input, and you have a predefined attribute structure that you're now populating. You can see in the parameters here you have certain varieties that you could choose. So the table handling might be interesting to you. You can either use an existing, you can create a new table. Of course, you can create new tables in SAP HANA Spatial. You can truncate, or you can drop and create tables. These are pretty normal operations. I will just use drop and create. And now I'm already set and done. So what the very last step now is you basically go on to run translation, and you run your workspace. So, and there you go. The translation was successful. You can see the feature numbers on the connections. So basically what we can see here, we have 381 polygons went into the county database, and we have 186 entries where there's a population value of 0. So let me show you this in the FME Data Inspector. So I'm loading now the data into the FME Data Inspector to have a first glance at it. Let me. That is, all right, there we go. So this is now what we have in our SAP HANA Spatial Database. It's polygons, you have the county name, you have the population figures, and you have the state therein. So that is basically how you can use FME to gain more values out of your data, to combine data spatially and non-spatially, and write it back into SAP HANA. Of course, well, it was just an example. So for now, I wasn't using SAP HANA Spatial as a source, but you can, of course, use SAP HANA Spatial as a source data set. I was now using the writing part for the example, but for sure you can read from SAP HANA. So that was basically the example I wanted to show for FME. I will stop sharing now. So let's hope we can go back to the slides. I hope we can see the slides now again. So let me have one last word on us as Conterra. We are providing around the spatial ETL topic, FME, we are providing consulting and development. So in case you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Of course, we do training and support. So we don't let you experience all by yourself. And we are very happy to help and answer any question you have on this topic. So Marcus.
Thank you very much, Marcel. This was quite impressive, and I think it made very obvious of what we mean by saying unifying two worlds and accessing various types of data using FME, talking about spatial ETL and loading that. And as you mentioned correctly, we haven't even looked at HANA and HANA spatial capabilities and methods. That's coming next. I mean, it's not coming next in this webcast, but it would be the next step in the sequence, right? So in terms of analytics, So if we want to go to the next slide, can I do this? Click 2. Let me try. Should work. Yes. So So one thing I think Marcel, we wanted to mention is that if the folks on the call are interested, come and meet us at the FME Days in Bonn mid-March this year. So we are all going to be there. So it's the experts from SAP. It's, of course, the experts from Safe Software, and last but not least, of course, also the experts from Conterra, including Marcel. I think that makes a lot of sense that you come and visit us. And so the last slide we had before we go into the Q&A is, of course, we wanted to say thank you for your time, spending that with us and listening in to what we had to say. We hope that we kind of gained your interest in the topic itself. We burn for it, so it's definitely something we can continue or start talking about. So our contact information and emails are on the slide, and if I'm not mistaken, they are going to be shared after this webcast as well. So Jenny, I think it's back to you for Q&As if there are any.
Thanks, Marcus, and thanks, Marcel. And yes, you're right, the slides will be shared so the audience can actually download them in the resources widget, which is located at the bottom of your screen console from the audience point of view. And then let's take a few questions here. So I will leave it up to you who's going to answer the question, but let's go with the first one. Does FME support the Esri utility network?
That's probably a question for me. Yes, the short answer is yes. As the utility network is basically another or a defined database model, that FME can support and use.
Okay, great. Another question for you, Marcel. Is FME capable of reading and populating ArcGIS online services? Yes, it is possible to read and to read ArcGIS online services. That is no problem for FME. Okay, great. And let's take one more question here. Is it possible to calculate statistics and other mathematical formulas in FME? Yes, basically there are transformers that have all kinds of mathematical operators. So you can basically do any statistic or formula that you are thinking of within FME. That is possible. Okay, great. Thanks for answering the question. So that's all the time we have for today, and thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Marcel and Marcus for presenting today. You will also receive a link to the webcast replay shortly, and feel free to share this with your colleagues. It's available on demand after the live webcast as well. And make sure to sign up for the SME Days in March, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks for joining, and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.